Thank you to the Philadelphia Bar Association and to PMC for hosting this. My name is Todd Egan, and I'm a candidate for Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. I am from Scranton, Pennsylvania, but I practice all across the state. After graduating from Dickinson Law School, I clerked for Federal Judge Nealon in Scranton. Went on to work for Attorney Bob Mariani in Scranton, who's now a federal judge. But since 2004, I'm a partner in a Harrisburg law firm. We have offices in Scranton, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. We represent about 35,000 union members all across Pennsylvania. And as an attorney, all of us know that when a client comes to us, it's usually with bad news and it's a problem that they have had in their life. So it's really been an honor and a privilege for me to represent working men and women all across Pennsylvania in the really toughest times in their lives. And I want to do the same thing if I'm fortunate to get elected to the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. I want to make sure that individuals get their day in court. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. My grandfather served the public as a local district attorney in Lackawanna County in Scranton, and as a Court of Common Pleas judge, and then he moved on to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. But he really, growing up, watching him and watching the effect that he had on people's lives and what he could give back to the community as a public service, put a kind of an idea in my mind that if there was an opportunity for me someday to also give back to my community, that I would. And with my practice representing public sector employees all across Pennsylvania, I actually practice more in front of the Commonwealth Court than I do in front of the various Court of Common Pleas all across Pennsylvania. At any given time, I have 3 to 4 cases pending in the Commonwealth Court. I've also, unlike most attorneys, have filed many actions in the Commonwealth Court's original jurisdiction. So when I thought about perhaps running for judge and giving back to my community, the Commonwealth Court was a natural progression for me because it was a court that I practice in front of a lot, not only in their original jurisdiction venue, but also in their appellate jurisdiction, because I do a lot of work in front of various agencies all across Pennsylvania. So when I made my decision to run for judge, I felt that I could do the most good in the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. Sure. So all of the candidates up here have been through some highly vetting processes already. One of the groups was the Pennsylvania Bar Association, and they recommended me for the position for Commonwealth Court judge. We are all Democrats too, and we went through the vetting process with the Judicial Evaluation Committee of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. Now, I was the only candidate to end up being endorsed by the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. So we've been vetted twice already from 2 statewide groups, and I've come through both of those with positive results. But my practice has also, I'm a litigator. Every day I litigate cases in front of either administrative law judges or arbitrators. Anytime a governmental body in Pennsylvania takes action, whether it's a local agency or it's a county or a state agency, those appeals make their way up to the Commonwealth Court. And my practice is 100% devoted to those types of actions, be it a case in front of an arbitrator, a case in front of a hearing examiner, unemployment compensation hearing examiner, workers' compensation judge, in front of a pension issue in front of a state agency. My practice has solely been devoted to issues that eventually make their way up to the Commonwealth Court. So I have a unique understanding of how the record is made in all those agencies all across Pennsylvania. And then eventually when they make their way up to the Commonwealth Court, they're the court that ultimately reviews those records that I've been involved in. One of the Commonwealth Court is sometimes referred to as the People's Court because a lot of the cases that get heard by the Commonwealth Court involve matters such as driver's license issues or unemployment compensation issues, matters in which the litigants don't have the resources really to hire an attorney, so there are a lot of pro se litigants. And I experienced that when I worked in federal court for Judge Nealon. We had a lot of pro se filings there. So I think one of the things the Commonwealth Court can do is one of the things that I've actually witnessed here in Philadelphia in the family court system, where they have self-help centers for the pro se litigants to come in and are able to look at some basic forms and resources. So they can get their actions in front of the Commonwealth Court, because a lot of times the procedures, even for us as attorneys, can be difficult to kind of navigate from court to court. So I think at the very least, we can set up some self-help centers in the 3 locations in Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, and then also online, because really it should be about allowing people to get access to have their cases heard by the judges, and procedural things that kind of stymie them from getting in front of judges should be kind of broken down into their basic form, so that even if a pro se litigant wants to get their case heard on appeal, they should have the ability to do that, and I think that's one thing that the court can look at. As I mentioned before, the Commonwealth Court is seen, or it's been called the People's Court at times, and I think one of the areas they can improve on is perhaps holding oral argument in areas, and on occasion they do, but most times it's in Harrisburg, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. But as an attorney from Scranton, and as some of the other attorneys all across the state, I think it would be easier if they had oral argument in different locations, not only for the attorneys, but also for the pro se litigants. And I think that would not only provide greater access to the court, but it would also allow individuals from the public to come in and view what the Commonwealth Court does on a week when they have their oral argument for the week of any given month. But I think we also all recognize as attorneys the need to have more published opinions, because you're always in search of the case that's on all fours of your particular position. And I think having more published opinions, and I know the court is moving in that direction more and more every day, but having more published opinions also assists the attorneys in trying to figure out actually whether or not they're going to appeal a case also. And in that regard, if there is a case that's published and it's on all fours with your particular case, and you know that your appeal doesn't have merit, it would also provide you, allow you, not allow you, but you would not file the appeal, and obviously it would clear the docket up. And so there's many things to improve the court, but I think those 2 are good examples. Well, I think number one, there are rules that are already in place, but in amplifying those rules to my particular situation, I would first and foremost, I represent a lot of clients that actually have matters in front of the Commonwealth Court, so that would be the first thing that I would delegate to make sure that those cases weren't being heard by me, or even someone associated with that client would not be heard with me. But we do not, as judicial candidates, we do not solicit funds. So we're not, even though most of the candidates on this panel have received contributions from attorneys and other individuals that are going to appear either as an advocate or a party in front of the Commonwealth Court, I think there has to be more than that relationship, because whether you agree with electing judges or not, the reality of the situation is we are electing judges, and all judicial candidates are going to accept contributions from attorneys that practice before them, if not most. But I would definitely establish rules that would make sure that any individuals that I had a relationship with prior to running for office, either as a client, or obviously a family member, or some type of other connection, I would make sure that I would not hear cases from those individuals. Mr. Egan. Well, usually when I've been going last on this panel, it's been really good, but now that I'm last, there's not a lot of cases left for me to talk about. So maybe I'll just say ditto, but let me just echo some of the things that have already been said, because I think, as I said earlier in one of my answers to my questions, when somebody comes to you as a lawyer, it's the most troubling and difficult time in their lives. So for those individuals, every single case that goes to the Commonwealth Court is important. But if I had to pick 3, I would probably pick the voter ID law that actually, after it went to the Supreme Court, came back down to the Commonwealth Court, and it was ultimately one single judge on the Commonwealth Court that ended up hearing evidence and striking that law down. The other case that I would also bring up is gerrymandering, because when you have a situation when you have the districts in the shape that they're in here all across Pennsylvania, not only the congressional districts, but the state representative in the state Senate districts, I think we have a real problem here in Pennsylvania with having proper representation. And then the third case, I think, is the Robinson Township case, the fracking case, because that case that came out of the Supreme Court, in essence, resurrected that the constitutional provision that provides for clean air and clean water, and I think that's a decision that's going to resonate not only for us, but for our children and our grandchildren in years to come. Well, as the Commonwealth Court reviews cases from state agencies and even local agencies, you have to understand that even though the standard is that they're supposed to give deference to those agencies because they have expertise in those particular areas, whether it's the Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board or whether it's the Workers' Compensation Appeal Board, because the law says that they have expertise in those areas. I don't necessarily believe that because, like it or not, those agencies have been overwhelmed with the number of appeals that have been coming up through the system. And as the state budget gets tighter and tighter, their staff levels go down. So, like any agency, like any court, mistakes are made. So when you sit as an appellate court judge, you're sitting to review the record, even though you're supposed to give due deference to the agency because they have expertise in that area. I think you have to review the record carefully. And I think you have to make sure that when you make that final decision at the Commonwealth Court level, because it is the last court of automatic appeal. You're not going to automatically be able to take your case up to the Supreme Court. So this may be the court of last resort for those individuals. So deference or not to the state agency, you have to get it right, and I think you have to review the record carefully.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Egan.
Well, my diversity in my law practice also stems into my diversity in my individual life. You know, I represented a woman when she was fired, when she went on maternity leave, and I had the very first jury verdict under the Family Medical Leave Act in the Middle District of Pennsylvania. I've represented 4,000 state employees in a class action under the Americans with Disabilities Act. I've also represented an individual before marriage equality was the law of the land in helping her get health benefits from the state for her and her same-sex partner. So I've shadowed what I've done as a lawyer, not only in my law practice, but also in my individual pursuits. For example, as a young lawyer, I was involved with the Bar Association in Lackawanna County, where we had job shadowing, and we pushed to include minorities in that job shadowing to give them really the insight into the legal profession. I also have been actively involved in junior achievement of Northeastern Pennsylvania, where we go into the classrooms, all different classrooms all across the county. We talk about business, and I put a particular spin about the legal profession in that. So we try to actively involve minorities in that effort. So what I've done as a lawyer has also been, I've also shadowed that in my individual efforts outside of the courtroom. Well, experience matters, and I think if you look at the experience of the candidates, not only on the Democratic side but on the Republican side of this ballot, I think that I lead in the experience on the Commonwealth Court. We talked earlier about the deference that the court gives when it's reviewing agency matters, and think about how those agency records are created, because I've been involved in all of those. And I truly understand how the records are created that eventually make their way up to the Commonwealth Court, whether it's in front of an arbitrator, whether it's in front of a hearing examiner, a judge, an administrative law judge. I've been involved in all those types of cases, so I truly understand the nature of administrative actions here in the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. So when those records make their way up to the Commonwealth Court, I'll be in a unique position to understand not only the law behind those records, but how those records have been created. In addition to that, I handle many cases at any given time in front of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, not only in the appellate court jurisdiction, but in their original jurisdiction. So when it comes to experience matters, and I'm the candidate that has the most experience, proven background to do this job. Sure, well, let me say thank you again to the Bar Association and to PMC for hosting this event. When I graduated from the Dickinson School of Law in 1996, I went on to clerk for Judge Neal in Scranton. Did a 1-year clerkship with him. And then I had to make a choice on what I wanted to do with my career. And the choice that I made was to represent individuals, was to protect women's rights, to protect workers' rights, to protect the rights of individuals with disabilities. And that's what I've done, that's what I've chosen to do over the last 20 years. And a lot of candidates get up and they talk about protecting rights, protecting individuals, protecting constitutional issues. But I've walked the walk, I've been there, I've been doing it for 20 years. And I'm running for Commonwealth Court because I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to make sure that due process is filed. I want to continue to make sure that equal protection under the law is followed. And I appreciate your time here today, and I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.